What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down how wide receivers and quarterbacks can dominate 7-on-7 this offseason. So I hope this video helps you guys out. Hope it could teach you a few new things. But also, fellas, if you are a wide receiver or a quarterback and would like to train with us this offseason, we are going to be traveling out to 12 more states across the country for 2-day-long QB and wide receiver training camps. The next state we're coming to is Charlotte, North Carolina. That camp is completely sold out, but then we'll be coming out to Dallas, Texas, the DMV, St. Louis, Honolulu, Boston, Cleveland, Austin, Seattle, Newark, Denver, and Los Angeles. So if you guys are local to one of those cities and would like to train with us for 2 whole days, 8 hours of training over the course of a weekend, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have some of you from our YouTube community out to our camps. We really appreciate the support. Let's get started with this video. So now, first thing I want to talk about here is keeping things realistic. So you honestly got to think about, why are you playing 7-on-7 in the first place? 7-on-7, a lot of people, have the wrong idea going at it. They think that 7-on-7 is going to help me get exposure. It's going to help me get offers. College coaches are going to be at my tournaments. That's all not true. Now listen, 7-on-7, you might get on a team that's, a travel team. You might get some more Instagram followers. You might get a little bit of exposure in that light, but college coaches do not care about what you can do in 7-on-7. And I'm going to show you guys a bunch of examples today of unrealistic football with 7-on-7. 7-on-7 is only as good as you make it. I'm not trying to knock 7-on-7. I think it's a great tool. I think a lot of people who are in it for the money have ruined 7-on-7 for a lot of kids. So we're going to talk about that today. But please have the right idea approaching 7-on-7. Will 7-on-7 help you get a scholarship? Yes, it'll help you get a scholarship, but not in the way that you think. Getting on a team is not going to get you exposure to different college coaches. Yeah, you might meet some people who are well connected, but if you're not good enough when the pads come on, that's what matters. You have to be good enough when it's 11-on-11, bright lights are on a Friday night. You're playing 7-on-7 to get better. So how you can dominate 7-on-7 is by approaching it that way. So this is going to be an example from a quarterback here. Now, this is a young kid. I'm not trying to knock this kid, but there are a lot more worse examples that I could have showed too. But let's play this example first, full speed. So this quarterback drops back, but you see the footwork on it. Now, where does he make this throw? He makes this throw probably line of scrimmage is here, maybe 2.5, 3 yards back, right? So in a real game scenario, let's think about this here. He's going to drop back. He's got offensive linemen here who are blocking for him. And on this long of a play, where he's taking 3 different hitches in the pocket, he is going to be backing right up into his left guard. Offensive line, he's going to be throwing right into him, and he probably will not be able to see. Now, this is not the worst example I could find. There are other examples of kids who will take a snap off a tee and will take 1 step back and sit there for 4 seconds and then go try to find a throw. That is the most unrealistic thing that you can do from a quarterback perspective when playing 7-on-7. You have to actually go through progressions, go through reads, go through plays in a real game scenario type situation. Now, I'm going to show some other examples for wide receivers here in a second, but I want to address this first. Don't be that quarterback that takes a million hitches in the pocket, scanning the field, not knowing where to go with the ball, and just waiting for people to get open. Or they just take a 1-step drop. Let's get back into my drop. Let's go through my progressions. You need to treat it how you would treat a full 11-on-11 play. So let's look at this next example here. This is from the battle tournament they had this last weekend in Miami. Now, I want you to watch how this quarterback goes through mechanics or goes through his reads. He goes back, but you see how he stays. He stays in his base. He stays in the pocket how he would have to stay in an actual live game scenario. Because in a live game scenario, he's going to have linemen dropping back and passing. He knows that. He's just sitting in his base. He's in a position ready to throw at all times, going through progressions, not taking a million hitches with his feet. He's under control. That is what translates to a live game scenario. And this is how you guys are going to get better from a quarterback perspective. You're not going to get better doing incorrect footwork. You're not going to get better taking a 1-step drop from the tee and sitting there for a minute and trying to find guys. That's not going to get you better. You dropping back into the pocket, having your eyes in the right place, reading defenders, knowing what defenders you're going to read. That's what's going to get you better as a quarterback. 7-on-7 is a great tool for QBs, but like I said, it's only as good as you make it. And now, I don't blame this a whole lot on quarterbacks. A lot of times coaches screw this whole thing up for players. They will design plays strictly for 7-on-7. They'll, go bunch right. They'll have all this misdirection. They'll have all these different plays. This backside guy will be running different routes. And the problem with that is are you ever going to run that in a real game scenario? No, you're playing for 7-on-7. How does that get anybody better? When September rolls around, or let's say when August rolls around, does anybody care how many battle championships you won, how many pylon championships you won? No, the only people who care are the guys who are in it for the check and in it for the bragging rights in the offseason to say, oh, come play for my team. We won pylon last year. It's like nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares if you won pylon last year. It's a plastic trophy. You didn't win any money. Nobody cares. So what are we in this for? We're in it to get better, and we're in it to develop. And nobody talks about this because there are a lot of people making a ton of money off of 7-on-7, and they don't actually want to tell you the truth behind it. And now I'm not trying to be that bitter guy who hates on it, because I think 7-on-7 is a great tool. You just have to use it correctly. And I don't think there's anything wrong with people hosting tournaments, people bringing their teams out. Nothing wrong with it. Just what are we there for, guys? We're there to get better. And you get better by making everything you do game realistic in the offseason. You know how many bad reps can stack up on each other with 7-on-7? Imagine if you're that guy who takes the snap from the tee and you take a one-step drop and you throw. In the offseason, you got 3 7-on-7 practices a week. You're playing in tournaments almost every weekend. Those are a lot of reps. Those are hundreds and hundreds of bad habit reps that are going to stack up on you. So you need to make sure we are going through the correct reads, the correct progressions, and the correct footwork. And that is how we actually get better. And you can be better when the pads come on. That is the most important aspect of playing 7-on-7. Now, let's talk about this from a receiver lens. So this is a play I want you to pay attention to the slot wide receiver here going up against this linebacker. Now, this is what I love about 7-on-7, because you get thrown into a lot of situations that maybe you wouldn't have been prepared for by just working out with yourself. Or by yourself, I should say. So I know it's a little blurry to start out, but the picture clears up here in a second. But this wide receiver gets jammed pretty good on this play, right? Now, listen, maybe not the most realistic play from this linebacker, because this, number one, the field is like 15 yards wide. Like, that's another thing that I can't stand about 7-on-7. But I get it. It is what it is. But this type of play, number one, we could always just in a real game scenario, if we got a linebacker who's doing this, because he knows it's a pass play every time because it's 7-on-7, I might just do a toss right play or throw a screen to the outside. And this guy completely just took himself out of the play because he's trying to be a hero and knock this guy on his ass. But here's the other thing. That might happen to you in a real game scenario. We get a lot of questions about this exact scenario. I'm a smaller wide receiver going up against a bigger linebacker. This is the part of 7-on-7 that I love. There's no hype. There's no nothing. It's just you versus another guy. You're going to get a lot of man coverage opportunities, a lot of press coverage opportunities as a wide receiver, and you have to take advantage of those opportunities. You got to get better at it because that's what a college coach wants to see. A lot of wide receivers make that excuse, well, Coach, I don't need to know press releases. I don't need to know how to beat a press coverage guy because, my team, all I ever see is zone coverage, so I don't need to worry about it. I need to learn how to beat zone. But here's the thing. When you get to the next level, or when you go to a college camp, when you're in front of a college coach, he's going to want to see if you could beat this situation. He's going to want to see if you could win on this situation and not get just completely rerouted and destroyed on a play. So if you can't do that, 7-on-7 is a great tool where you can work on that. You could work on different releases. You could have a plan off the line. You could work different releases even when you're not getting the play, because coaches love to draw up the 7-on-7 concepts, and your backside wide receiver, your job is pretty much nothing. So why don't you work different releases? See what works, see what you like, see what you're comfortable with. 7-on-7, again, like I said, you want to play well. Everybody wants to play well. Everybody's a competitor. Everybody wants to be the best. But you're there to get better. Let's think about different releases I could use. Let's find those 5 or 6 releases that I'm comfortable with, that I could actually apply when the pads come on and I'm prepared. That's how you get better with 7-on-7. Now, is this the most realistic form of defensive coverage? Maybe not, but still, again, it helps you prepare for when you face that bigger linebacker type guy. So this example here, I absolutely love. I don't know who this kid is, but he's doing the 7-on-7 thing correct. I found this clip on Twitter, and there's probably 6 other clips of him running routes just like this, and I felt like I could pick the best one to give you guys the most value. And this is him backside on a play, working a release and working a move at the top of the route. He's not even getting the ball, and I think he knows that he's not getting the ball. But we're going to talk about how this sets up future opportunities for this kid as the game goes on. And this is how you play 7-on-7. So he comes off the ball, he does a little hesitation move, works up to the outside, gives a hard cut at the top of the route, and he's running this route. He's backside on the play. The play is going to the right. He knows he's not getting the ball, but he's still running a route like he is getting the ball because he is getting the reps that he needs to set him up in a live game. Him doing this type of release right here. What do you think this sets up? He slides to the outside and he just takes off on this fade. So now maybe next time, let's say they're on the goal line. It's a big play. He's got this same DB lined up on him inside shade. He does this little hesitation slide. Let's say the DB, okay, I remember getting beat on that post. He jumps with him and he cuts underneath and runs a slant and catches a touchdown and gets this DB and makes him look foolish because he set something up backside on a play. Fellas, you're going to practice how you play. 7-on-7 is practice. You are getting yourself ready for when you put the pads on. And if you can run routes like this, you could set up defenders like this at the next level, it's going to be that much easier. Like I said a couple times in this video, nobody cares how many 7-on-7 tournaments you win when August rolls around. And you see it every single year. The guys who are posting all the clips, they go on all the visits in the offseason with their 7-on-7 club that they paid however much for. Fellas, anybody can go on those visits. The jerseys, cool. You got the cool pictures for Instagram, but does that really matter at the end of the day? Did you really learn anything? And those guys, when the pads come on, they slowly start creeping to the back of the line. They're not really actually about it. And I hate to knock people because I know everybody's trying to, get to the next level. They want to play college football. I get it. And maybe 7-on-7 is just fun for them. I understand. But what are we actually playing 7-on-7 for? If you're playing it for the hype and you want all that stuff, fine. I'm not going to sit here and try to convince you. But for the real guys who want to play college football, just know that, number one, when you get to college, you're never going to play 7-on-7 again. And nobody's going to ask you how many times did you win Pylon or Battle or whatever tournament it was. Number two, 7-on-7, when August rolls around, nobody talks about it. You got passing league with your team. So I sure hope you were working on the plays that your team actually runs, not what your club 7-on-7 team actually runs. And then number three, we got to be in it to get better. That's the main focus. And this is a great example of that for wide receivers. So QBs, let's make sure we're realistic with my footwork and with my drops. Wide receivers, let's make sure that I'm trying to set up defenders with my routes. I'm running realistic routes. And I understand that even when I'm not getting the ball, that's still an opportunity for work. All right, fellas, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you guys have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to leave those in the comment section below. Always appreciate the feedback. It's always great to hear from you guys. And again, fellas, if you'd like to come out and train with us in 12 different states this offseason, we would absolutely love to have you out to one of our offseason QB and wide receiver camps. So check out that very first link in the description below if you're interested. I'll see you guys next time.